Hello, good evening. Welcome to this week's edition of Sisters of Legacy. We are going to go ahead and run our intro and we'll be right back as soon as I find it.
Welcome to the Sisters of Legacy. They are building a community through great conversation. They are speaking truth. They are speaking life. It's time to do more. Join us each week. Welcome to the Sisters of Legacy.
Okay, we're back. That was very fascinating and then it went to nothing. But so welcome again, guys, to this week's Sisters of Legacy. I am Samantha Walker, and you have Shanetta McNair
Hey.
and Katrina Taylor.
Hey.
All right, ladies. So, our topic for this evening is breaking bad habits. Like, do you feel like how can I say it? So, like, I know I have a number of things that probably are bad habits, but do you feel like um you have the discipline to break your bad habits? Or is it just like some of the things you like, you know what, this has been me for 20 years. What you see is what you get.
For me, I've had a little bit of both. I will, you know how around this time of year, every year, people are like, "Oh, I'm gonna make New Year's resolutions.
Oh,
I'm gonna work out in the new year. I'm gonna
right,
eat better in the new year. I'm gonna, make all these healthier life decisions in the new year." As a result of bad habits, right?
right,
Eating late at night, having cake and cookies when you know you should probably pass, or all that kind of stuff. So when it comes to stuff like that, I cannot break those bad habits. I'm not gonna exercise. I am not gonna fully eat right. I'm gonna eat vegetables. But I'm gonna still eat cookies and cake. And I'm probably not gonna make the healthier life choices. Like I'm not like every time I go to the doctor and he's like, "Oh, you need to exercise a little bit, like at least 30 minutes a day, at least 4 days a week." Yeah, I'm not gonna do that. So what else is there? It's like, what else you got? Because like I'm probably not gonna do any of those things. I don't even like walking up the stairs, but I have them in the house, and this is what I wanted. So here we are. But like I'm not gonna break those habits. I'm sorry. I don't know how to get like even beyond that feeling of not caring enough to break the habit. But then there are other things where I'm like, yeah, I've got to stop doing this. Like a couple of years ago, it was the same year that I stopped eating beef and
mhm.
I stopped drinking sodas in the same year.
Okay,
I just literally and not that it's a bad habit, but it was just something for
right,
me. I would get up in the morning and I would have a Sprite on my nightstand, and I
okay,
would be like first thing in the morning, and like all day long, like how you go get the little 6 packs of the bottles.
okay.
I could go through a 6 pack in one day.
Ooh,
So imagine like how often like I was just buying Sprites and like consuming and constantly drinking them. And I had been doing that for years. And when I decided I was just like, I'm just not gonna do this anymore. I'm not gonna drink Sprites anymore. I'm not gonna drink sodas anymore. I am not gonna eat beef anymore. I'm done. And I just stopped. And I haven't. It's been like 3 or 4 years now.
but that same energy doesn't transfer over to,
Nope.
to else.
Nope.
Okay, Trina.
Um, yeah, I don't know. A lot of things like we were talking about, eating habits and that type of thing. I just try to do a little better here and there. You know what I mean? Because I just feel like I can add some vegetables. I can eat a little bit better. But as far as completely taking the chips off the table and just, not having fries, yeah, I don't know. Like, and I really don't want it to be where, I have a health situation that makes me have to, do these things. But at the same time, it's just like I be trying to. So I do, like, I've added more fruit and vegetables into my diet, but yeah, that's about as far as it went. That's about. I used to I used to hear that it takes 30 days to make a habit or 30 days to break a habit.
Yeah.
But when I actually looked more into it, it says it takes more like a little over 60 days,
Okay.
66, 67 days to
Oh,
make or break a habit. That's what the researchers have said.
okay.
So maybe if I could set that, that amount of days as a goal to make or break a habit, maybe I could, I don't think I ever lasted that long, like trying to eat a certain way or like on a diet more than 3 weeks. It's just like, I don't think I ever made it past like 3 weeks on a diet. So I don't know. Might be something to, I might try it like 66 days. That's a long
I'm so bad.
time. Looking at the fries over there for 66 days.
Like that's 2 whole months.
Oh,
And a week.
well, I would say like, mm, I mean like, so sodas. I don't drink sodas. I stopped drinking sodas a long time ago. Like if my stomach is irritated, I'll drink a ginger ale.
Right.
But as far as like drinking sodas, I stopped drinking sodas, yeah, some years ago. Like, and I never picked that up back up. Thank goodness. Even if I like take a sip of a soda now, I'm like, oh, it's so sweet because
Mm-hmm.
like I don't drink them. And then for a long time, like I stopped like frying foods. That lasted a while, but then like with kids, my son is so picky and he won't. I mean, when I say he literally won't eat a lot of stuff, like he'll just literally go to bed hungry. He's that kid, like, oh, go to bed hungry. I'll see you in the morning. Like he's that.
I love the commitment.
Yeah, the commitment behind it. He's that serious. So like some of that stuff, unfortunately, I've picked back up doing. But like, I don't know, the biggest stuff for me, like, past the eating stuff is like, I'm usually good about when I do something and I realize, like that after feeling, like you've ever like had a moment where maybe you snapped at somebody, you kind of went off on somebody, and then afterwards you're like, mm, I don't really like the way I felt, or I don't really like the energy, that came out of me, and then I'm good at like, okay, I don't want to do that anymore. Like that's not who I want to be. I'm good at those things. Like as far as habits, like me and Anthony a long time ago, well, some years ago anyway, we decided to stop using never and always. Cause when you get into an argument, you always do something. He's so smart. He used to just harp on him. I always do it. Yeah, you always do it. So we kind of got away from the always and the never. And then like I got out of the habit of saying, that you do this or you do that. I'm
Mm-hmm.
always like, I feel like,
Mhm.
like so I've been good about breaking those habits and learning how to communicate better and then to communicate what I'm thinking. But like some stuff is just harder, like to deal with. Like my temper, like I have a bad habit of kind of going from 0 to 60, even if I don't say anything, like I feel it. It's like I feel the heat. You ever like get mad and you're hot? Or maybe that's just me. I don't know.
Nope. Mm-mm. No, I know
But
what
then,
you're talking
like, even if I don't say anything, I
about. Yeah.
feel it on the inside part.
But is that really a bad habit just because you feel it? Like feelings are feelings versus like acting upon.
Yeah, I mean, but yes and no. I mean, it's still in my mind anyway. I feel like it's still a lack of control.
Okay.
Like I'm not controlling my temper the way that I should. Maybe I didn't go all the way to the left, but I didn't tell you everything I was thinking. But on the inside part, I'm telling you everything that I'm, like I'm still telling you everything that I'm thinking. So like that's one bad habit, like that I really haven't been able to just hold up. And sometimes my mouth, like I say something too fast, I'm like, probably shouldn't have said that. And it's not even that it's always a bad thing. Sometimes it's just one of those things that I wish I hadn't said.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think those are like my two biggest. If I could just get all of this part right here, just to cooperate with the rest of me, like those are like my biggest habits. And I have not, like, so I'm taking tips. If y'all got a tip on how not to say what I'm thinking so fast, I'll take all advice. I'll take all advice.
I don't know that necessarily a tip on how not to say what you're thinking so fast. I have learned over the years to try to listen with a different intent in the midst of kind of heated moments and heated situations. Because like a lot of times, I think for me, I would be listening, but I'm listening, waiting on my opportunity to respond. Because as soon as you let me in to start saying all the things that I'm thinking, I'm about to give you what I feel like you deserve to hear in this moment. And what I've learned is instead listen differently, because you might hear something that you really weren't hearing initially, which is why I hate text messages when you're frustrated sometimes, because you cannot hear the intent of the person's heart or what they're trying to communicate through a text message, and you interpret it the way that you're feeling in that moment.
Right.
And you might not be feeling so awesome. They didn't mean it that way. And you reading it with a whole neck roll and attitude. And that's not even what they meant when they sent it to you. So I've learned to try to listen and hear what the person is meaning behind what they're saying. I had this person I was talking to years ago, and she was saying stuff, but what she was saying did not make sense. And it was like a frustrating situation. And I was trying really, really hard to hear her. And I was like, okay, you got to come out in the mode of attitude and really like listen. And I began to listen. And while she still didn't really make much sense, even when I began to listen, I heard something a little different. And I heard what I could hear at that point after I calmed myself down was that she had a complete misunderstanding of the situation, and she didn't even realize that she was misunderstanding. And I think that that's where it taught me how to, like, you know what? I don't even have to fight this battle. I don't even have to do this with you. Let me just calm down, and I'm gonna let you circle yourself back around, over and over again until you kind of just dug your own little pit. And she did, like, she dug herself, like she just circled and dug herself right on into a nice little pit. And I just kind of sat back like, yep, didn't even have to do anything there, didn't even have to respond, didn't even have to give her all the thoughts that, because I really wanted to tell her, do you know how crazy you sound? Do you know, like, but those are the thoughts in my head that I don't really need to share with everyone, right? So I'm gonna let you figure it out. Right. But yeah, just slowing down to listen. That's all I have.
Okay. Yeah. Trina?
I don't know. I mean, I think that my first response is not Like I don't really say too much like right away. I mean, I don't know. I think that's my personality. But I also think that there's something to be said for how you react. You know what I mean? Like sometimes I wish I would, be more proactive about certain things or whatever. Um, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like everybody has things about themselves that they want to change or improve, but sometimes that's who you are and it serves you in certain situations. You know what I mean? Like I know that my personality serves me in certain situations, but there's sometimes maybe I need to be a little more assertive or whatever. Um, but other times it's fine that I'm just like, okay, you know what I mean? So I guess it's just a matter of just finding out like the right time
Right.
for the reaction. But I certainly like Shannon was saying, I don't know that your internal dialogue, how you feel, I don't think that's that's what you feel. Sometimes you have to go through the whole argument in your head, the back and forth, and then decide to just be like, you know what, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
Or sometimes you're like, you know what, I definitely need to address that.
Yeah.
So like just taking a minute to, you know, and I think I said before, sometimes if you take that 24 hours to say, am I going to feel the same way 24 hours from now? Then
Right.
it's worth it to address it, you
Right.
know? And sometimes I
And I
just
think,
feel,
go ahead.
just for me, I think one of my bad habits, I don't know if it's a bad habit. Maybe it is. I think so. Um, more and more, I find myself isolating myself. And sometimes I just dig my heels in and be like, you know what, but it's peaceful over here by myself. But then other times I'm just like, there's a part of me, this is a real small part of me that wants to reach out. Small part. And you know what I mean, connect with people.
Mhm.
But I don't know. I feel like I need a whole big encouragement and push to do that. And even then I'm gonna be like, yeah, I don't
Even then, she's gonna talk her way out of it.
right. And I don't know, like I don't struggle a lot with it, but a little bit I struggle with it.
Right.
Because I mean, I don't know. I don't know. So that's my struggle.
You know, it's so crazy. If I wait 24 hours, like if something happens and I wait a full 24 hours to talk to you, by then I have settled it in my mind and I'm kind of over it.
Yeah.
Like, but
But
I'm
that's the
over,
point.
Right.
but I'm over it in the sense of kind of like I'm over you with it though. Like,
That's not the point.
Right. You don't get over the issue.
but not in like a mean way. Like I can see you, I'll say hello, but for me, you literally, even when I'm seeing you and talking to you, in my mind, you're literally so far away from you. Know how they say that sphere, that circle of comfort. You are so far outside my circle that even though you're standing here, you're really not there. So like
Right.
for me, like I don't know that 24 hours though, it I don't know why it does something different in my head. Oh, he said, what did he say? We can't overthink it. I guess uh that 24 hours does something different for me. And I just because by then I really weighed out, are you worth it? It's not even about whatever the thing is. It's like, is this person even worth it anymore? You
Right.
know, like, and again, like this probably goes in the category of like bad habit that I kind of like, just push you over there, and I'm still cordial and whatever, but it's kind of like I just cut off whatever cord of attachment we had, and I just kind of keep moving forward. So I think what you said, like that whole personality, like even as a kid, my mom I think I've kind of been the same way. I've kind of always been the one to say something, when others wouldn't. Like, and so now, as old as I am, it's like one of them habits I feel like I'm gonna die with.
But is it a bad habit to be bold and assertive though? Because that's how I think it's like in the how. But I think that there are people that are created to be those that stand up for what is just, what is right, and what is fair. And just knowing you, I know that you're not like a bold and aggressive person about something that's not right. You're not out here, upholding the wrong thing. So just considering that, I think that there are some people that are meant to kind of like be that, but like there are some of us that wish we could be more bold.
Mhm.
And that just may not be within our personality types. And then there are some that are just natural born people who have that strength to stand up and to say what it is that they feel and to kind of keep it moving. And it's not that, I mean, sometimes, there's a way to say things in a way where it doesn't come off as, hurtful to anyone else. But there are other times where you have to say what needs to be said and be okay with it. And the other person has to be okay with the truth. But I think that there's always a way to present that truth. And that's the key thing. So it's not necessarily a bad habit to, to say what it is that you're thinking. It's just how you present it. Give it a little sugar, a little honey, make it taste well going down.
I guess. So we said 60, what did you say, 66, 67 days to break a bad habit?
Or make a good habit, or
So
develop.
why is it you ever like do something and you could do it for months and it's like kind of like, I don't know, let's just say a good habit. Like say you've been, I don't know, and eating salad, not frying nothing for 3 months. It been 90 days. And you're like, oh, this a breeze. I don't even think about fried chicken no more. And then somehow, some way, there's a piece of fried chicken that you eat, and then it's like, shoo, you just plunge in the darkness. You ever feel like that? Like it took
Fall
so
off the wagon.
yeah, but it's like the wagon is Mount Kilimanjaro, and you just fall all the way down into the depths of friedness, and you stuck in there. Like I don't understand how that works. Like I did all this work to get all the way up there, and then you just, in a blink of an eye, you right back to square one. I think that's so unfair. I should get some kind of points for all the work
Yeah,
that I did.
but I guess I think you need to just kind of in your mind know that you starting over is fine. I mean, it's hard to be 90 days in and then have to be back at day one. That's a hard feeling. It's a hard thing to do. But at the same time, it's got to be like, you know what? I'm back on it. And
Who
that's
said we start over at day one though? I'd be like, oh, well, stopped at day 90. Next time I pick it back up, day 91. Let's go.
the
I'm not
thing.
going back to one. All about perspective.
Yeah.
Yes, that is one way. But it's kind of like once you get down there, you're like, oh, I'm here now. Let's fry some Twinkies. I don't know. Like,
You gotta wallow in it.
Wallow. The definition of wallowing.
right, absolutely. Like, it's like you get good at it. So I think it's a stumble and you keep
Right. Moving, right.
That's exactly shit on it. Right. I guess day 91, you're right. I guess it really is all about perspective. But don't let that perspective convince you to live a lie. Oh, don't. No, I think there's a fine line with perspective and then
Right.
but you just lying to yourself. I don't know. I think we should all strive to be the best versions of ourselves on a daily basis, whatever that may be, whatever like whatever things about yourself that you know you can do better. Like, oh my God, there's someone I know, and the mouth is just so atrocious. Everything, I mean, early in the morning is F this, beat this, just all day. And I'm like, oh, your mouth, why? Why must you sound like that? And it frustrates my very, um, he said, what? The Bible app makes you feel worse. I don't know what that means. Obviously, somebody has.
Oh, because when in the Bible app, when you're doing it every day, it's like a streak.
Mm.
Right? You could be like 3 months in, and it'll be like streak, and you miss one day, and it's like streak one. You be right back at what? It don't care about the 142 days you had in the Bible app all year. One.
See, but that's what I'm saying. And then you look at that one and you're like, oh well. Like he said yes. Yeah, like it draws everything out of you. But yes, perspective is a good tool. Strive to be the better version, the best version of yourself. Don't always rely on other people to pick out your flaws. Like sometimes there are things I guess that you cannot. He said, I'm done uninstalling. I'm telling Jesus. Um, sometimes there are things that you may not realize that you do that other people can pick out. But a lot of times we know where we fall short. We know what our flaws are. And I think you kind of owe it to yourself to try to um fix those things. Um, I know our topic was about breaking bad habits, but before we started, we were talking about parenting kind of in 2022 and everything going on um with the schools. And as a parent, we are all women of color, our children are children of color. We all at least have one son. Shanetta, you have several. Um, we all have a daughter as well. Um, I was sharing how scary it is I have one child in middle school and I have a child in high school. And so many things are going on in the schools today. And I think as parents, we have got to do better. And I'm saying yes, my daughter and my son may not be getting in trouble, may not be doing things, but parents collectively, it's up to us to kind of change, to try to change some of these things. If we're going to save the next generation, we've got to become more proactive. I don't know. I don't have the answers to how we do that, but I think it's important to start having the conversations. What can we do as parents? Um, Unfortunately, we always hear about school shootings and this, and there was a 12-year-old boy here shot on over the weekend, a bunch of teenagers, and a bunch of them were shot. I think like three of them have died now, one including a 12-year-old boy.
Mhm.
And his mother um, was saying to a reporter or whatever how he had been breaking into people's cars and doing all sorts of stuff. And he went to the police station. She went to the cops trying to get them to get him off the street so nobody wouldn't kill him for breaking into their cars. And, the cops kept telling her there was nothing they could do. They couldn't do anything with them, I guess, unless he was caught doing something or whatever. Inevitably, he was killed over the weekend. And, she's like, I needed help. Like, I wanted help. And I guess she didn't know where or how to get that. And I think it's important for parents to talk about these things. Like when you need help with your kids, like, yes, she went to the police station. Sometimes we need to look within our communities. We need to tell somebody like that we need help. You know, saving your kid might save your kid, but it could save somebody else's too. And I think it's important, extremely important, that we talk about these things, that we try to come up with solutions for our children and our communities, you know, ourselves. I know they used to have resources. I'm not sure of what's available, but I think it's important to talk about. Shanetta, you work in the school system.
Mhm.
Um, what is that like post pandemic?
It's it's gotten interesting, I will say, with regard to the expectations of kids in school. We've gotten into a place where kids have been coddled, kids have been pampered a little bit, where the expectation of good behavior, the expectation of um just doing the right thing, kids are getting more passes because it's like, oh, well, you know, they have been home for a while. Oh, well, we got to get them reacclimated to being in school again. Oh, well, we got to give them another chance because, you know, it's been so hard. Life has been so hard. Well, the truth of the matter is that we've all been impacted by the pandemic.
Right.
Everybody, like you can be in a crowd of 1,000 people and pick one person out of that crowd, and that one person has definitely been impacted, whether they had it, know somebody who had it, or, you know, experienced something, you know, traumatic in their life as a result of COVID. We've all had some type of impact. um the getting kids back into the place of respecting authority figures when they've kind of been on their own, to an extent where you had kids that were home learning but parents that still had to leave and go to work, which means that there was a lack of structure, a lack of guidance, a lack of just a whole lot of things that kids need. um so now you have everybody back in school, most everybody back in school, and you have kids that are relearning how to interact appropriately in social settings. And the excuse that we make is, oh, it's hard. But the truth of the matter is that we have to make hard choices as the adults that support these kids. And that's what nobody wants to do. That's the piece that none of us like. That's the part that makes it uncomfortable for everyone. So what do? We find ways to give them passes. We find ways to pacify their behaviors, and it only makes the monster bigger. It only makes the problem bigger. And you can look at any school system, any school that has said, oh, this has been a good school in a good neighborhood and we don't have a lot of problems. They are probably having some problems right now.
Right.
And that's just the truth, is that, like, you can look at the best, like, you know, go to your local county schools or your local area schools, public schools, private schools too, probably, and you're probably going to find that their discipline issues have increased. I won't say by a great deal, but they've increased because kids are realizing they're not going to do anything. They're realizing I'm not going to get a tough consequence. Like, it may not be that bad if I try this or do that. To the point where entire school systems are revamping their entire discipline policies. The system I work for revised the entire discipline policy and then went back to the old policy all within the last 6 months. Like, it was like we rolled out a whole new discipline set of rules and standards, and it was just kind of like, okay, this is a new thing. Teachers were looking at it like, what now? This is not gonna work. They tried it out for a few months, and about a week or so ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, they had a board meeting and they were like, yeah, we got to go back. And it wasn't said that way. It was said much more polished and professionally, of course. Right. But the layman's terms of what they were saying in that meeting was, yep, we got to go back to the old rules because these new ones are not working. And they had to walk back some of the things that they were trying to implement because it was more of a restorative type of practices. And that's another thing that a lot of school systems are trying to do. They're trying to do more restorative practices than punitive practices. So when you start doing restorative versus punitive, the kids don't see a consequence. They don't see a punishment. They realize, oh, we're going to talk about my feelings. We're going to talk about how I felt when I was doing this and how I made other people feel when I was doing this. So I'm not going to get a punishment. I just got to go talk about my feelings for a little while. Okay, yeah, I'm going to break the window, steal stuff out the classroom. And, I'm going to go ahead and have this fight, because I just got to talk about how I feel versus, all right, you're going to get, ISS or you're going to get OSS. You got to go home for some days. So it's different. And because of what we're showing them and what we're teaching them, we have to, as adults, have to kind of bring down the hammer a little bit more. I feel so terrible for that mom who lost her son. And just listening to the cry out that she had saying, I asked for help. I needed help. I didn't get the help that I needed. And I was worried that this would happen. And now this has happened.
Right.
That makes my heart hurt so bad because it's like, well, where were her people? Who was her community? Who was she asking for help? And how come nobody could help her? He was 12. Not that I condone in this show. I'm going to give this the disclaimer. This show does not condone violence against children in any type of way. However, who was putting a whooping on this little boy's behind before he got into all this trouble? He was 12. And that's what I think some of us are missing. We have to go back. My husband has been preaching for 3 weeks in a row, and every single week he has said, go back to the basics. Right. Every single time he's talking about going back to the way we used to do things. And that's all I know is that, like, we have to discipline our children. Right. And that starts at home. That starts within our communities before they go out into the community, before they go out into the school system. We have to find a way that works for our family. And every family doesn't believe in spankings. That's fine. Right. Every family doesn't believe in, spare the rod, spoil the child, all that kind of stuff. Everybody may not believe in all that. But as for me and my house, I tell my kids in my classroom all the time, like, they'll be like cutting up and doing something crazy. And I'll just sit and look and I'll be like, I just need one weekend. I need one weekend to take you home with me. And one little boy, I told him this like maybe 2 days ago. I was like, I need one weekend just to take you to my house. And the little boy goes, what's going to happen if we go to your house? I said, I can't even talk about it here because I'm at work, but I just need one weekend with you. So another little boy goes, oh, she going to beat your butt if you go to her house because you just cutting up way too much. He was like, you whooped your kids, didn't you, Miss McNair? I absolutely did. Yes, I'm sorry. You can feel how you want to feel about me, but yeah. We tore into every single behind in this house. That was just the way. And we did it. And for the most part, they turned out all right. I worry about them sometimes. But, they have even said to us, like, hey, yeah, we probably got in trouble for some stuff we didn't deserve. But here we are. And we appreciate you. Like, my kids will look at some kids and be like, we would never. And I'm like, I know you would never because I would have. I wish you would. And unfortunately, like for that mom, I feel terrible for her because I feel like she tried and there may have been not enough maybe men in his life to reel him in and help her figure that out. Because especially if she was asking for help, like, I mean, that's ridiculous. Like, you went and asked for, and nobody could offer you anything and you're asking for help. That has to be the most, I don't know. I think that's awful. And I feel awful for her for even having to deal with that. But I definitely think as a community, we have to find a way to reel in some of these children. Like, I randomly will talk to kids that I don't even teach. I'm like, hey, listen, you can't do that. I'm also the person who's in the middle of the grocery store. And if your kid is cutting up in the grocery store, I will look at your child like, are you serious right now? While your back is turned and you trying to pacify and calm them down. Here's a cookie. Here's, What are you doing? Stop giving him cookies and tighten them up. Come here, let me talk to you real quick. So I don't know. We have to find ways as a community to take responsibility for what's going on with a lot of these kids.
Oh, hey, Ephraim. He said, who has the bigger responsibility in the failure to the kids of this generation, parents or the system? Um, I think it starts with the parents because they're yours first. They're yours before they get anywhere else. So I definitely think it starts with the parents, but I think the system has failed our kids too. Um, in New York, I know we had PAL, back in the day, which was free. You had different clubs and stuff that kids could get in that was free. You could always find some kind of free summer camp or something that didn't cost your parents more money on top of them struggling to feed your behind and everything else. Now the system has made it so that nothing is free. Kids, even school sports now cost an arm and a leg. I mean, it may have been, back in the day, if you were playing football, you had to buy maybe like your cleats and little stuff. Now you got to pay for everything. My nephew plays basketball. Every year is hundreds of dollars that his mom, has to pay his parents for him to play. Like, I think the system has failed our children by taking away so many of their options. Even at school, schools don't even have as many programs as they used to have anymore. Not for free. Everything costs. Like my daughter, even though she excels at everything, every club she gets into, there's a cost for.
Yeah.
Everything she participates in, there's a cost for.
Mhm.
I think that the system is not providing a lot for our children, to be able to hold on to. Hi, Manaris.
I think
Um,
that when you think about the way and the difference between the parents and the system, I definitely think it starts at home with the parents. Like you had the babies, you got to take care of them, you got to teach them right from wrong. You have to raise your kids. I 100% will say that that's where it starts because there are many years that nobody has them but you.
But
Like
you,
you might put them in daycare, here and there, but nobody really has them but you. So you have to be the one to instill values and morals into your children.
Absolutely.
But when they get to a point where we're putting them in school and we're putting them where the world has access to them, where they're accessible to what we call the system, whether it's the school system or just the general community system, as we would call it. I do think that there is a level of responsibility that we have to instill certain things with them. For instance, these kids are in school 8 hours a day. They come home to sometimes parents who are gone to work, still at work, not home. So they're going in the houses by themselves, or they're going in with an older sister, older brother type of deal. So when their parents get home, it's dinner, quick, maybe, a few conversations, and then we're off to bed to do it over again the next day. So when you're dealing with kids on that level, it is a great responsibility for a teacher, for a counselor in the school, for a mentor in the school to be instilling certain things into those children. If you are a teacher and you don't like kids, if you are a teacher and you don't like people, you probably shouldn't be a teacher because that's who you deal with, people and kids. And you have to like them in order to be able to instill things in them. And if you're teaching in a community of kids that you don't like, or kids that don't look like you, and you have nothing to offer them, not even a little bit of love, you're in the wrong place. You're doing the wrong job. You're doing the wrong things, and you need to figure out what you need to do with your life and go get a paycheck at McDonald's or Walmart or something, and not messing up these children. It's important that when you work in a school system that you care about the kids that you are teaching. You care about the kids that you were impacting and having contact with. Now, I also could very well be extremely passionate about this because I spent the day fighting and advocating for a kid to the point of tears today, which probably has me emotionally on edge, because that's what I do, because I care about those kids and I care about what happens to them.
Right.
So, like, I mean, even if I didn't, you know, like them as like a person, because like that's the bad kid or that's the kid that gets on my nerves every day, I still have enough love in my heart that I want to see what's best for you. So I do feel like, as being a part of so-called the system, employed, I do feel like there's a certain level of responsibility that I have every single day. If I'm seeing a kid doing something wrong and I'm not redirecting that or addressing that, then I'm failing. I'm not doing my job on a daily basis. I'm not gonna let your kid walk around with their pants sagging. I'm not gonna let your daughter walk around with her boobs hanging out. I'm not gonna let your kids cuss in front of me and do all, like, I have kids I don't, and I watch your mouth. I'm in middle school, so I constantly say, watch your mouth. Stop saying that's not how you find better words. Constantly saying, pull your pants up. I can see your drawers. I don't want to see your drawers today. Pull your pants up. Constantly saying to girls, pull it up. Your mama did not send you out here to show the world everything you have. Pull your shirt up. Everything doesn't have to be exposed. These are kids that I don't even teach. They're just walking past me in the hallway. The teacher next door has a thing about hoods. Her thing is, when she sees your kid in a hood, I can't see you. I don't know if you're okay or not. Take the hood off. Constantly. So as being a part of the community at the school, you have to care enough to say something, even when it's not your kid that you teach. So I think it's everybody's responsibility, but it definitely starts at home. Off my soapbox. Sorry, y'all.
No, you're fine. Trina, did you want to add anything?
I mean, I'll agree that it definitely starts at home. It starts with the parents. But again, like Shanetta said, you know, as a daycare provider, I'm spending a lot of days, more time with your child, more waking hours with your child than you do on a daily basis. I have your kid for 9, 10 hours, you know, and in that time, you know, like you said, I have to care about these kids. I can't just be like, I'm here to make a paycheck. No, I'm sitting here, I'm rubbing boo-boos, I'm hugging,
Right.
picking up, hugging, rubbing, you know, loving on your children every day because they're in my care. I'm not just running a daycare. They're in my care, and I care about their little feelings. I care about, you know what I'm saying? Like how they're eating, their development. There's times at night I'm worrying about, I don't know, is that a speech problem? I mean, should we talk about services? I don't know. Are they scared? Like, these are the things I'm worried about. And it's something that you have, like Shannon was saying, you have to care about the children. You have to care, or you can't, it's not about the money. You know what I'm saying? It's not about, oh, I just got this job. You have to care about the children that you care for on a daily basis, teach, you know?
So
And it
how?
really makes a difference. It makes a difference.
Right. I totally agree. How do we spread this into our community? I mean, I know growing up, like, I know when I was growing up anyway, if somebody's mama saw you doing something, oh, you was in trouble on the spot. And then before you got home, they called your mom and you were in trouble again. And I don't mean everything wasn't a physical whatever, even if you never, you know, touched me, like you had something to say. You corrected me, you know, enough. And then I got home and I was corrected, you know, again, like the whole community kind of participated in trying to I don't know, mold kids into being better. Like I see I see kids, I watch adults, um, and it's kind of scary, you know, that we're all like people that look like me. You look like me. You're part of my community. And people they don't really care. Like even my kids' friends, like if they're talking and I hear something that sound like something might be wrong. I'm like, okay, what's what's their home situation like? Like what's their living situation? Like I always got questions of how I can try to help or make something better. Ephraim said, what broke the sense of community in the Black community? How do we restore it? Ephraim, that is a good question.
We
I
moved.
don't know what broke it. I think it got to that whole I could do bad by myself kind of thing. Like I don't need nobody. I think
We
that
moved. We moved out of our communities. We separated ourselves. We started moving away from what was, even though the areas were not always the most progressive, we started moving away to more progressive areas and adopting progressive behaviors of isolation.
right, the isolation. That's what I'm saying. Like I don't need nobody. He said, I hear what you're saying, Trina. So how do we start caring again? I think, it's all about we've become so self-centered. Like all people see is, I don't care about that. That ain't my kid. Like, it's all about me, us four and no more. It's about, our household, what's best for us. I don't got time to be worried about nobody else's kid. I don't want to be feeding nobody kid. I mean, growing up, my mom had 5 kids. She did not have a lot at all, but it was 5 of us. And then Trina, it was always a house full of people over there. She was always feeding somebody else's kid. She was always hugging other people's kids and talking to them. Like they could call my mom by her nickname. Like, but of course, I could never do that. But like my friends, like she listened, she cared, she fed people, she braided people's hair. Other people's kids. Um, I don't know. Besides the whole just being self-centered and just how much can I get from me, that we don't care about one another anymore. And I don't know how we restore it. I wish that I could figure out, but I think a good start when we talk about breaking bad habits or starting new ones, a good start is doing something different. If you've never like reached out, I don't know, be a mentor, join a program, find out what resources are there. A bunch of us are parts of ministries. Invite some of these different community activists or these programs to your ministry. Give kids an outlet. I mean, church is wonderful. God is good all the time and all the time. God is good. I got it. But some of these kids need real time, mentoring, real time, somebody to talk to them. They need more than Sundays and Tuesdays. I think we have to get back involved, in our communities. Let's not just be community watch. We're going to tell, oh, I saw your little Johnny do it and I'm telling on him. Like we have to get back to more than just telling on each other. I think we have to, and it starts with us. If every person does something, like if everybody makes a commitment to do something, like one person, I do something for somebody else's kid, like I think that's our best hope to hope that at least if we all try to be proactive, if we all try to do something, I think it'll start. We got to hope that a fire, a catch, and, it'll start making a difference. But it only takes one person. Somebody has to start. Somebody has to do more than just identify the problems. I think we have to be a part of some of the solutions. Some of these conversations, they're great, but be a part of some of the things. I know the guys, Brothers of Legacy, they hooked up with the Fathers Matter and some of the other organizations, and they've become more active with our young boys and with some of the fathers, because it does start with the parents. And so if you can encourage a father to be more active in their child's life, if you can help a mother that may be overwhelmed and don't have any answers. I think that's a good way to start.
Agreed.
But we got to start somewhere because we are losing a generation. I've every between the school shootings and just the everyday shootings on top of kids that disappear and you know it in a minute we're gonna be lost a whole generation of youth. Like this is literally our present and our future and it's dying before our very eyes. And I think we have to become more vigilant. You have to come outside of your house, outside of your circle. You have to reach. Like, we have to stretch and extend ourselves. I think that is an important way to start, but we have to do something. I mean, I still have teenagers, and I have loads of nieces and nephews, and even within my own family, like I try to sometimes, reel in the nieces and nephews, and it's not always easy, but I don't give up. So we just have to be vigilant. Parents, be open to people helping you. I get it. Nobody likes to ask for help. Nobody wants to appear weak. But if it's gonna save my kid, if it's gonna make a difference, I am asking for help. I had to ask Shanetta for help with my son. Not that he was acting out, but he needed some educational help that I didn't feel like I was qualified to provide. Between my lack of patience and me not being a teacher, I'll be honest. I'll be honest with myself. I just was not qualified. I'm his mother. I love him. I nurture him, but I needed some help. And I reached out and she helped me. She helped him, more importantly, because he needed it. And she helped him. And he went into this school year, I think, feeling more confident, feeling more prepared. He has done great. He has been doing really well this school year. And a lot of it had to do with me asking for help.
Mhm.
Like, stop being too scared to ask for help. Stop worrying about, oh, what's somebody going to say about me? Save your children. Because if you don't save them, we know that the world will not. So I am hoping that this conversation sparks another one or sparks an idea in somebody to save our children. I don't want to see or hear about another school shooting. I don't want to hear about another teen being killed. It's heartbreaking.
It is.
They're not my children, but it is heartbreaking. As a parent, as a mother, as a Black woman, to see our children of color on the news, outlined in chalk, it is heartbreaking. We have got to do something. Ladies, any last words?
I think you stated it well.
So, guys, we are on every Thursday at 8 p.m. Thank you guys for joining us. We will return next week, same time, same back channel. Until then, be safe.
Thank you for watching. The